the scam of politics, sort of like a magic trick. Hey, look over there while we do this to you here. And you
Yep.
mentioned earlier that we're a confederate of states. We're a republic, if you can keep it, right? And so 50 independent states. And so in that, the whole nation is caught up in this presidential election. And we have been since I was a kid. I remember
Yep.
being in elementary
Yep.
school asking me who I wanted to be president, right? We're always watching this presidential election, and none of that matters. What matters is right in front of our face, and we're not even
Yep.
paying attention. My city council matters. My county supervisor matters, or however that's structured in your state. My sheriff, my DA, my governor. Those matter to me, and we're all being misdirected. And James Lindsay was talking about. He had this really good video. I'm going to find it. I'll put it in the show notes for everybody listening down below. But he talked about a plan to beat the left. And he talked about how the left sort of infiltrated the Democratic Party, the squad, and how they kind of came in. And he said, we can basically take that and build out our own plan. And he said, start with your local politics. Can you just get one or two? Because the Republican Party has been taken over by the rhinos, and you can fill in Libertarian Party or whatever you want. But like in my county, for example, could we just get one or two Republican seats? And then could we force the other Republican seats to then get rid of the rhinos and go with us? And then could we get enough of them in our district? And then could we go to the state level? But he talked about starting at the lowest level. And then if you win there, then people see that see that you're winning. They see that movement, and then they can start to rally behind that. And then it builds, and then I get the next level, next thing you know, we take over the state. And then if we can take over the state, then we take over coalition states. And I was like, man, that is a dang good idea. Because what happens is, let's focus on the president, and then we don't get it, and then everyone's defeated, and then, oh, why bother?
Yes.
It doesn't even matter. As opposed to setting, and this is just like goal setting 101, right? Like set a realistic goal in front of you, achieve that, and then move up. And I thought it was just genius the way that he broke that down. I mean, what are your thoughts on that?
Yeah, it's just about verbatim what I've been saying within the Libertarian Party for quite some time. There's one thing that the Libertarian Party nationwide is known for, not winning elections. But the reality
what
is,
Vivek said, right?
a
party of
we've
losers.
actually, well, but the thing is, we've actually, almost despite ourselves, we've won hundreds of elections, but they're all local elections. But because we also focus on our presidential candidates and our Senate candidates and our gubernatorial candidates and congressional and candidates and so forth, we're seen as the loser party, even though we've been winning elections. And not only have we been winning those local elections, but there's a benefit of it as a result. The people there are happier. They're being taxed less. The services that are being provided are better and far less expensive. And we're able to show what libertarian governance actually looks like. And it's at a fraction of the cost that we spend to lose. So, and long before the vast majority of people ever consider voting for a libertarian for the White House or for their governor's mansion or for Congress or anything else, they need to see how it works in their backyard, which, by the way, is our backyard. And you are far more likely to be to suffer under the tyranny of, on a day-to-day basis, of your city council or your county council or your local sheriff or police department than you are to suffer from anything at the federal level, right?
Yeah.
So it not only does the most acute, immediate good, it not only is the best use of your resources, and it not only builds up your stable of elected officials who can eventually work their way up to the state and federal level, but it also kills the whole narrative that we can't win and replaces it with not only can we win, not only can they win, but when they win, when libertarians win, we all win. It's not just if Team Red or Team Blue won, but America actually won because we're freer and benefiting from that freedom. So no, I am a huge fan of the focus on local, especially for the Libertarian Party and other, so-called third parties. That's where we can win and where we can build up from.
What about, though, like kind of one of the points he was making was that you have these two apparatuses. You have the Democrat Party and the Republican Party, right? That's what they are.
Yep.
The Democrat Party has, seemingly kind of been taken over by this radical left, whatever you want to call them, socialist. I mean, they are, right? I mean, you look at the squad, what they're doing, Bernie Sanders. I mean, they're socialists. They didn't start a socialist party. They took over the Democrat Party.
Yeah.
And so
Yeah.
using that, couldn't the Libertarian Party take over the Republican Party, right? And when I say that, I mean the apparatus, right? So you have, there's, the Freedom Caucus guys are probably more in line with the Libertarian, more or less, right? As opposed to the rhinos anyway, right? And so like, could the Libertarian Party start to infect the apparatus that's already there from a local level and starting to kind of get these rhinos out that don't agree with that, smaller government, less taxation, those types of things, and then sort of use the tool that's there, sort of like the left has used, as opposed to trying to get this third party, this Libertarian Party, and then to your point, suing to get on ballots and all those things. Would it be easier
Yeah.
just to sort of infect and take the apparatus over, just like we saw happen on
There
the left?
there are many libertarians who are doing that, and to those who do that, I say Godspeed. I would very much like a more libertarian Republican Party, and for that matter, a more libertarian Democrat Party, if that's even, I'm not sure that's even possible. But I certainly, anyone who wants to focus their efforts on that. Also, I'm not sure you have to choose between the two. The reality is, one of the best ways to keep the Republican Party as libertarian as possible is the very real threat that they will lose votes to a libertarian candidate if they don't, if they don't deliver. And so I think that you can have both. You can have libertarians who are trying to make the Republican Party more Republican or more Democrat. And you can also have libertarians who, in order to grow that party and help the Republican Party become more libertarian, give them that ever-present threat of losing their votes to the Libertarian Party as a result of it. I will say, and we saw this with Ron Paul, we've seen it with other libertarians who are Republican. I do think that there is a ceiling that libertarians can reach in either of the major parties, and here's why, and why it didn't do the same for the socialists. The socialists and the status quo uniparty that runs the country both want a bigger government. They just argue over how much bigger and what that would look like, but they both want bigger and bigger government that is more and more involved in your life. We want the opposite of that. So I think there will always, to some extent, as long as this uniparty or duopoly or whatever you want to call it, as long as that establishment exists, there's always going to be a bit of a ceiling of just how much we can infiltrate, for lack of a better word, in that. But I may be wrong. Maybe if libertarians are able to take over the Republican Party, it will become the libertarian equivalent of what the socialists did in the Democrat Party. And if that's the case of what happens, then that's great. Like I said, I think that there is a ceiling, but I also think that part of that forcing the Republicans to be more libertarian, or the party to be more libertarian, is to have that ever-present threat that if they say they're going to be libertarian and then they don't deliver, they're going to lose votes to the actual Libertarian Party.
Yeah, I hear what you're saying. I mean, but what I'm saying is back to the labels. I mean, who even knows what these labels are anymore? And so in the Democrat
Yeah.
Party, the difference of the true liberals that used to be in the Democrat Party, the RFK liberals, I mean, couldn't be more different than the left, right? Than the extreme left. I mean, they're just different in every way, but they work under the same umbrella of Democrat.
Yeah.
And so you could have a libertarian and I don't even know what a Republican is under the Republican name. The ideologies are different. I understand what you're saying, though, as opposed, like right now, the Republican and Democratic Party both want bigger governments, including socialists want a bigger government as well. Socialists want a bigger government apparatus that has more power and control, whereas libertarians want less of it. But unless you get maybe to this extreme example of Argentina, where he's literally starting from zero, like zero-based accounting, like let's just burn it down and rebuild it. It's maybe we have to maybe more whittle it down, and so that maybe is more of like a process. Those options.